The COVID-19 pandemic has people of all ages isolated in their homes, but one outdoor educator in Thetford, Vermont, has found a way to get students outside safely. Welcome to Windows to the Wild. I'm Willem Lang. The COVID-19 pandemic has swept every community in New England, leaving many people traumatized and isolated. However, a young friend of mine who teaches outdoor education at Thetford Academy has found a way to open doors to get students outdoors where they can learn safely.
Most trees, it takes a lot of energy to put nuts out. So they hold on and they wait till they're big enough, and they do that instead of growing. Where this one says, I need to grow.
And that friend is Scott Ellis.
Well, gimme. Yeah, we can't do handshakes.
Oh.
Nobody's licked their elbow yet. It hasn't happened. So that's how we stay safe out here.
It is a pleasure to see you. How many times have we been to
This is the 8th episode I've done with. Every time I'm still honored, but it's great that this is kind of our tradition that I get to check up on you and make sure you're still doing okay.
You don't realize that I'm checking up on you too.
Yeah, well, that's good. We'll keep doing that. Let's keep that tradition alive. But you're right. What you're saying, we're at Thetford. We're starting, we got to educate these kids, you know?
Yeah.
And we got to do it safely. We got to do it in a way that's the best education we can provide.
Right.
And also social and emotional health for kids. That's what school plays. And what we've discovered at school I teach at Thetford Academy, we do a lot with outdoors, but outdoor air is safer.
Yep.
And so we're really embracing this resource and getting kids outside and learning out here, because
and this resource is fantastic.
it is.
I've never seen a public school campus quite like this. Well, let's go do it,
You
shall
better
we?
be ready. We got a lot for you today. So you ready to move around and meet a whole bunch of people?
Well, we'll find out, won't we?
All right, let's do
Okay.
it.
Before we head to the outdoor classrooms, a bit about the school. It's located in Thetford, Vermont, above the Connecticut River, almost within sight of Lyme, New Hampshire. That's the main building up there?
Yeah, we call this the White Building, and that's kind of like the heart of the school.
Yeah.
And people always ask, they say, Thetford Academy, is this a private school or what is this? And technically we're an independent school, so we are the oldest school in Vermont and one of the oldest in the whole country, and we actually predate public schools. So when public schools started, there was already this school here, and so they said, we'll just make that our school, and we've never really changed that. So if you live in Thetford, this is your school.
The campus is surrounded by green, meadows, hills, and woodlands. It's Scott's classroom.
We're known for our outdoor education now. That's my goal, is to say, we have this resource. You know, we have 500 acres of land right here, and now even more than ever, with a pandemic upon us, the safest place to be is outside.
Yeah, sure.
So I've always been pushing, let's make education outside.
You know that there's a big farm in Wilder?
Like a lot of other schools in the country, Thetford struggled with how, or even if, students could return to classrooms. Scott's idea of taking students and teachers outdoors might have caught some people by surprise, but it did catch on. I'm talking to Siobhan Lopez. You are the
Dean of Students here at Thetford Academy.
Students. Okay, You're the person I go see if I've been naughty, right?
If you definitely.
This is one of our outdoor classrooms, Willem, so.
We're here today to shoot video and interview people about the outdoor education program.
Yeah.
Is that something you've been interested in? Or
Yeah, that program started my second year here, and so I've been really happy to watch it grow and see the changes. It's pretty exciting. And as we're coming back after COVID, after 6 months of kids being at home, it's really nice to have the outdoor program as a support to our educational programming, and sort of use it as a way to keep kids healthy, but also interested in learning different ways.
It's great. It is awesome. I think getting to go outside every day is just a great experience for a lot of people. I feel like normal school, you're kind of closed up and like isolated to a certain space. And I think being outside, it just kind of resolves that issue.
It opens everything up into a way where it's like you kind of have to see everything you want to learn and really like experience it in a way that you wouldn't get to in the classroom.
There's a full house now?
No, we don't have a full house. When we returned, we gave kids and families an option to work 100% remotely, or to be 2 days on campus, or to be 4 days on campus.
Oh.
So we had about 25% choose to stay home and learn remotely,
Yeah.
and the others are distributed between here all 4 days and here 2 days a week. And we've set it up so each group has time outside every day. Sometimes they're doing an adventure with Scott, or sometimes they're using one of our outdoor classrooms, but
Yeah.
we're using the outdoors as much as we can.
Kids that come to Thetford get assigned a pod, and for the pandemic, we found this to be a safer model, that basically these kids stay in this one group,
Yeah.
and they don't go and see any other kids.
It's kind of like the old one-room schoolhouse with a modern twist. Students complete courses online, and teachers are there to help when needed.
How do things go? Weekend work done? What's different now is I actually have a pod of students who are with me. So they're just, we're just sort of like a small family, a small unit, and we stay together all the time. And that's how we're trying to sort of limit everyone interacting with each other all over campus
Right.
like we normally would. So some of them are in my courses, but most of them are not. So I'm there to sort of be their resource and their coach and somebody who's just helping them figure out what's going on. So technically all of our curricula are online now. They're considered remote, but we're here. So they have real-time support from me and from each other. But it's nice because I feel like we get a lot of work done during the day, but then we go outside and we play for a while. We have lunch, maybe play a little Frisbee, go for a hike in the woods, and just be outside and not in front of a computer or in front of a screen. And then we can go back in, get some more work done, and then usually in the afternoons we come outside again and either do some work or go for another walk depending on what people have for the day. And I love having outdoor time built into the day.
Yeah. Scott, old pal,
Yeah, well,
this is an incredible program you got going here. Tell me how it got started. What happened?
well, there's a couple layers to it. I've been teaching the class I've been doing that's focused on environmental studies and outdoor education for 4 years, but when the pandemic hit, everything really changed,
Yeah,
you know? And so all teachers were forced to kind of come up with these remote lessons, and all the kids were forced to do their learning at home. I kind of embraced that, actually. I took that on as a challenge early on and said, all right, outdoor education, I firmly believe that nature is, all the lessons are here and it's healing. And use a lot of those kind of original YouTube skills that I had to use the technology to post videos. All of the red pines in our forests, with the exception of a few, I know one spot, they're all planted trees. And so we did this remote education thing, and then we got to summer, and now is a new school year. And once again, we're creating a brand new educational model, which is scary and dangerous, but it's time to step up again and say this is an opportunity to use our outdoor resources.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we got some nice oaks here. What we're doing is each class is not supposed to interact with each other, but we have enough space for them to spread out and all be in the woods on their own, and find ways to connect that with your curriculum, but also connect it with that, when the kids are all home, that social, emotional health that's part of school, they were missing that.
Yeah.
And the nature's a great place to do that, and also you need to be around kids. Kids need to have casual conversations and learn what it means when you upset someone and how you work through that.
You want to go over to Piper? That's an easy spot. Well, he's going that way, so let's go over here.
And so we're still providing remote curriculum here at school the same way, and then they're doing it within their pods. So I'm still doing my class and posting all these videos every day of different tree species or quotes from, Walden or whatever it may be that are getting the kids thinking. That's what learning is. It's about observing and inquiring. All right, guys, how we doing? Yeah, we're recording. Down to my last plot here. This is a nice forest. And it's also cool if you see, I don't know, can you see this tree? Yeah, and that tree? Red maple, sugar maple, red maple, sugar maple, red maple, sugar maple, right next to each other. That happens sometimes. and
Yeah.
creating a mind that's always questioning things and finding ways to make that happen with the kids in a safe way.
But tell me what you got for math today, Miss Maddie.
I don't know if it's a test or not, but
It's very unique. People keep asking me, what are you doing? And what we're doing is basically we're doing distance learning, but try to address some of the problems we saw in the spring where, everyone was stuck at home isolated by themselves. So, most of these kids that are in my pod, I don't actually have them in class, right? But I'm here to support them in doing their distance learning and also to create some social connections for them that were sorely missing last spring. So they're working on online assignments right now in English, math, Spanish, French, whatever it might be. And I'm here to kind of keep them on track, guide them, nag them occasionally. Don't feel great about that one. But to kind of be their champion and to kind of help them. I know on math, I think it's alternate question mark, and you might try that and see if that gives you a division sign.
Oh yeah.
I want to hear your guys' perspective. This is a crazy new educational model we're doing this year, and how's it working for you guys with the outdoor stuff and the pod learning? And yeah, tell me a little bit about it.
Well, I really like it. I think that it's a lot different from last year, obviously, but I kind of like it more than regular school. I think it's really nice to be outside.
My daughter's birthday, yeah, 6 is magic, right?
Honestly, I think the mental health piece of this is about as important as anything else, and just not being isolated, in your room at home. I think, to me that trumps, whatever academics were able to do, great. I love French and I love my subject area, but I really think the mental health piece and feeling less isolated is the piece that's most important. And
I estimate I lose it at the top, but I'm guessing around 30. 30, 35 years, yeah?
I guess I'm looking at the bottom.
Yeah, you could tell that just by looking at, you get used to seeing the size. And when we see a lot of white pines straight like these are actually really good timber for harvest. And this area could use, if we actually cut some of the trees out, this forest will get more healthy. Do you guys feel like you're kind of bonding as a pod too?
Oh, definitely.
Everybody's alone. Tell me about your pod culture. What's it like a little bit?
Well, I think we got a ton of new kids this year. We got over half of our class doubled, and I think a few of us we've all been friends for a long time. But Iris and some other people have come, and I think we've bonded. Don't you think? Yeah.
We are really fortunate. So not every school has what we have, and I'm aware of that. But I think there are natural places anywhere.
Yeah.
And it's a matter of finding those little spots. And even if it's in a city environment, the outside air is still safer there.
You can see the bark over here. This one's already been hit by the blight a little bit.
No doubt the Thetford community is fortunate. With Scott already in place, they have a bit of a head start. He grew up outdoors and along the way found a passion for teaching. He likes to take students on field trips, but with the pandemic, he's learned to adapt. Now, he records most of his lessons in the field and posts them online.
The needles for this guy, red pine.
Students interact with Scott and each other.
And it's wet enough that the moss is just always green and it always grows there.
So we're here in the woods on the Dan Grossman Woods Trail, one of our beautiful 5Ks, and there's a group of 8th graders who are doing a little bit of a project with a stone wall. Stone walls are iconic New England features. I think someone said if you took all the stones of the stone walls in New England and piled them all together, it would be 10 times as big as all of the pyramids of Egypt. That's how much stone walls. So it's maybe the 11th wonder of the world. And so some of our 8th graders are out here experiencing the stone wall firsthand and doing some outdoor education with their class. So let's check them out a little bit.
Pleasure to meet you.
Yeah.
Len who?
Len Whitaker.
Whitaker.
Yep. Very nice to meet you, sir.
Yeah, he's been doing outdoor ed here for a long time.
25 years.
Yeah, so he knows the route. And he's kind of my mentor of how I want to teach in many ways.
So this is an 8th grade science class, and we are studying ecology. We started this unit about 2 weeks ago. And our focus today is the 4 parts of an ecosystem. So we had about a 15-20 minute in-class lecture talking about what the parts of an ecosystem are. We talked about interrelationships. And the students are out here right now looking at what they, like writing down parts of the abiotic physical environment. What do they see for producers? What do they see for consumers? And what do they see for decomposers? We want the students to get as familiar with this little ecosystem as possible. So they're collecting data right now, they're taking pictures, and we're going to kind of try to recreate this ecosystem in the classroom.
One of the YouTube kind of lessons or video lessons I'm doing with the kids to start off with is a unit on the tree of the day. Yellow birch. This one's a really easy one off the bark. And it's a balance for me because I hate to kind of be like, let's list all the species, because it's all about a connection. Like, I didn't learn trees because someone pulled out a dichotomous key and told me. Like, I learned it when I had a connection with the tree, some sort of experience. I also love this one, my relationship with this tree. There's this stuff called chaga. Chaga is a fungus that makes a medicinal tea that's like super high in antioxidants, and I collect it a lot. But so I'm trying to encourage the kids to have a connection with the trees and each day find a different species. And this is kind of the alphabet. And from there, we learn how to read. And we'll read Tom Wessel's book and really understand how you look at a forested landscape in a different way. But yellow birch, see if you can find one of those. Might be a little bit harder depending on your zone that you're in. They like kind of different soils than other places. Cool.
Is this the black cherry? No, that's an oak.
It is?
It's a red oak.
Oh yeah, I guess it
Look
is.
up the leaves.
It looks like an axe.
Yeah, it kind of does.
From a distance it does.
Yeah, from a distance.
Well, I like it a lot better because it's just more out in the open. Like, I love fishing and hunting and stuff, so it just feels a little bit more exciting. Get to see some stuff you don't really get to see just regular out in the classroom. You can't really look out and see a deer, so.
Yeah.
Do you feel differently out here than you would if you were sitting in a classroom?
Feel a little bit more like I can let loose a little bit more because we're outside.
So you date those pines, and then you can get a rough idea of when this was a field. I teach forestry here, and we do a lot of natural sciences in the 8th grade. So we go out all the time. This is such a wonderful resource to have, and to not take advantage of it would just be a complete crime, you know, not to get kids out. And just asking questions and wondering about the world around them is really great. And you can see kind of red in the fissure. So that's a characteristic of oaks, and you can see it here too. I mean, just the conversations I had here with Xander, we just never have those conversations in the classroom. He wouldn't be asking me if this was an ash, you know. He wouldn't be asking me what kind of tree that is. We'd be sitting in the classroom, you know, probably squirming in our chairs. So this is a great opportunity. And it's not just learning, I mean, that's part of it, but just relationship building. You know, like I just had a conversation with Xander, and that went to, a level. We have a connection now, and that's great.
Scott introduced us to concepts like Tree of the Week. And so every week we have 5 trees that we have to find before Sunday. And what was interesting about that is Scott said, not everyone's gonna find certain trees. And he said, it's less of you finding the tree and it's more of the search.
Yep.
That's important.
It always is, yes.
This model that we're doing with the remote, everybody gets a chance to respond, and it's really cool to see what they're all saying and thinking and getting to know a class in a different way than what we're normally used to.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think through Scott's class, I kind of realized just like what I really want to pursue. I think his class kind of shaped what I want to do in the future, and I think environmental activist is where I want to go.
You can make a living at that?
I hope.
Do you see any hope for us?
Yeah, I mean, it's like, that was the other thing that we sort of learned, is that there's a lot of people who really are trying to fight against global warming and the deteriorating state of the environment. And it's really nice to see people standing up for that, and that there's opportunities and chances to make a difference.
I think our generation is willing to cause an impact, and I think we're ready for something. I think we're ready for change. I think we've been witnessing it in the news, and I think they're ready to fight. So I'm excited.
Being outside has been a blessing, and I think they appreciate being able to go outside because, you know, as much as they like their social media and they like being online, I think they really appreciate being able to take a break from that and to shut it down and to go outside and to just be with their friends, to have lunch, to go for a walk, to play all these silly games that the teachers have sort of been playing catch up on and learning and trying to add to our toolbox. They seem to appreciate that because it's a break from screen time. You know, we don't have that human interaction that is so critical in teaching and learning.
Now, this approach to learning isn't without its challenges. Teachers have had to adapt quickly.
This is a brand new model. We're testing something out that nobody's ever really done before.
Yeah.
Teachers are working really hard. You know, this takes extra effort. This isn't just kind of go back to your original curriculum. But many teachers are becoming new teachers again for the very first time.
That'll work. Okay. That flash will work. She'll understand.
Your life has been pretty much changed by the pandemic, yes? By the virus.
I say to a lot of people, I feel like I'm repeating my first year of teaching. But the first time I did my first year of teaching, I was in my 20s, and now I'm in my 50s. So it's a lot harder when you're in your 50s, and I have a lot less energy than I had when I was in my 20s. I'm learning a lot of stuff. I mean, I hope we go back to the, before times at some point. I definitely do feel like I'm learning a ton. And I'm learning a ton that's going to make me a better teacher when I'm back in the classroom. Language, but I think all of teaching is about relationships and building relationships, and it's really hard to do that through a screen. It's just much more challenging.
As we walk around campus, this building keeps catching my attention. It's used as an outdoor classroom and was built by students. This place, when'd you build it?
We built this, we finished it 2 years ago.
Yeah.
It was a 2-year project. I teach a semester-long timber framing class. And usually we build a small picnic pavilion, or we did the dugouts, something much smaller scale than this.
Up to shoulders, ready, up.
So we do a unit on the math of timber framing. A lot of work with triangles, your trigonometry, but it's a mix of students. So I'll have kids who are in Algebra 1 up to kids who are in calculus. So we try to keep it fairly basic and more, the principles behind it. And then for the kids who are wanting more, we can give them some extension, and they get to do some of the engineering calculations. And I've had a couple of students who have struggled in a traditional math class, but when they realized that we were doing it for a reason, that we had to get all these measurements correct. I mean, if you want to put a wind brace in a king post truss like that, you got to do a lot of math and get it just right, or it's not going to fit. And it's really a class about problem solving. I mean, there's a lot they learn in terms of skills, but I have 7 or 8 objectives in the course, and only one of them is learning how to build a timber frame. And probably the most important one is learning to use different technologies to gain knowledge, and then problem solving. Yeah. How are you going to figure it out to make it work?
Is that? Yeah, one more hit.
Yeah, what kind of maple?
Redwood, red maple.
Yeah, it's a red maple, you're right. Yeah.
Scott's love for the outdoors seems to have had unexpected benefits. Students who might have been isolated at home now have a new way of learning. Who knows? Perhaps it'll continue long after the pandemic fades away.
There's a long time, I was like, I care about the environment. I'm trying to do all these things, like my own actions. And at one point I hit a realization saying, where can I put my effort to have the most impact? And now I think it's the kids. If I can really influence some kids, it's kind of this spread. They will then influence others. And that's where I think I can have the most impact for positive good in the world, is influencing these kids and showing them the beauty, the science, and then how to protect it. That's what it's all about. And I think the kids are getting it. Like, they buy in when you really present it the right way.
Oh, yeah.
I see the hope of this time in the pandemic, that lessons are going to be learned here that when the pandemic's over, we'll carry with us. and we'll be even stronger and better after this.
Well, we've had a bit of a day.
I think I worked you well today. We went all
Oh, you
around,
did,
yeah.
But it's lovely. The kids are so, I'd forgotten how much fun they were, you know? And
Yeah.
and they love it here and they're having a great time.
It raises your
so-
spirits to see their spirits,
Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
in that young energy of seeing the world the way they see it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Love to come back again. So anytime you feel like it, you crank the box, I'll be back.
Yeah, tomorrow you want?
Not tomorrow.
Not tomorrow.
Give me a day off. Okay. So, which means we've come once again to that part of the program that I like the least, and that is time to say goodbye. And so we shall. Bye-bye. I'm Willem Lang with Scott Ellis, and we hope to see you again on Windows to the Wild. Support for the production of Windows to the Wild is provided by the Alice J. Reen Charitable Trust, the Fuller Foundation, the Gilbert Verney Foundation, and viewers like you. Thank you.